Thank you very much, councillors and members of staff. I declare open this special meeting of Temora Shire Council and welcome you all here. And it is a special meeting for more reasons than one that council has the very pleasant duty to be able to consider these expressions of interest from the Temora Shire community in relation to the New South Wales Government Regional Recovery Package. I do thank you for your attendance. So there is that one item that is to be considered at this special meeting, and it's commencing on page 6 of your business paper 14.1, and it's under the Administration and Finance Department report. The apologies, I will start first of all before we proceed, and that is we've received apologies from Councillor Good, and we have Councillor McLaren who's with us via Zoom. So welcome, Councillor McLaren.
Thanks, wonderful to be here.
Thank you. And we also have an apology from the Engineering Services Manager, Mr. Rob Fisher. So someone prepared to move, please, that those apologies are accepted. Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no, and declare the motion carried. Thank you. And acknowledge also today we have in the chamber our Economic Development Manager, Mr. Craig Sinclair, and thank you to the Director of Environmental Services for vacating your chair. And also we have our new Economic Development and Community Services Officer, Mrs. Shante Ward. So Council bids you a warm welcome, Mrs. Ward, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this experience. Thank you very much. Where am I up to? Have I put the motion? Have I put the motion? I'll put the motion that those apologies are accepted. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Now we go to our sole item for business at this special meeting of Council, which is on page 6 under the Administration Finance Department report, and I'll go to the Director, Mrs. Elizabeth Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hand it straight over to our Economic Development Department because they've been handling this matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I've got to declare a pecuniary interest with one of the Mural Station Community Centres, so when that's discussed or now?
Well, that's a matter for you. I think, Mr. Director, it's what you feel's appropriate. I'll let you reflect on that one. Thank you. Councillor Bushell.
I'm in the same position with the Temora Basketball Association, the president of, so I'd like to
declare your interest. And again, it's up to each individual. And thank you for the declarations. But the old saying, if in doubt, bail out. But if you'd like to have something to say in general terms, then you may. So a note that Councillor Bushell is vacating the chamber as President of the Temora Basketball Association, and the Director of Environmental Services has also vacated the chamber as the Chairman of the Narrabri Community Hall Committee. Thank you. So I'm now deferring to the Economic Development Manager. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's worth pointing out that Shantane's done a really great job of summarising all the events for you in the spreadsheet. We did receive more applications than the value of the funding. So the value of funding we have is just over $239,000, and we received over $440,000 worth of applications. That includes the sum of $45,000 that's set aside to employ the community events program coordinator. That's a role that is dedicated to support this program only, and will only run for the duration of the program. Acknowledging that there's a significant amount of work to be done in coordinating these events, either through council or supporting those non-council events, in addition to existing staff workload. The summary spreadsheet is in front of you. The proposal today is that we run through each of these events from top to bottom and put a high, medium, low priority against them, and see what the high priorities come up.
Sorry, Councillor McLaren. We can't put her on mute, can we? Please.
So I think that's good.
Councillor McLaren's having some problems with the document, and Ian's just trying to sort it out. So
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, Councillor McLaren, you're right. Thumbs up. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. So the proposal again was just to run through each event and allocate a high, medium, low priority. When we get to the end of that process, just to look at all the high priorities and see what that adds up to. If we're within budget, then great. And then we'll move to the mediums if we need to find some additional events to meet the shortfall, if everyone's happy with that proposal.
Thank you. So, councillors, let's start at the top. Well, councillors, are you happy that there's no need for us to go through those that were not eligible? So you're happy to... Yep, okay. So let's then start with the Junior Basketball Carnival. That you see listed there is the eligible, the costs of 4.5, and the eligible costs are also 4.5.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, some additional notes on this one. Shantaine did contact the Department of Regional New South Wales to run through all of these events to make sure that we had assessed them or pre-assessed them correctly, and they were happy with our assessment and gave some advice on some of them, which we've updated on this spreadsheet before sending it through. Now, this one does still have a question mark over it because it is a sporting event, and Shantaine may be able to give a bit more information about the advice that was given on that.
Thank you. The officer?
Yes, the Department of Regional New South Wales did advise that just to be careful that it may actually be an event that is already in the calendar for the Basketball Association. They also said to be mindful that it is not accessible and inclusive for everyone. Which forms part of or it's highly recommended under the eligibility of the events.
That's because of membership.
And it's also the other thing that was a little bit concerning is that the children that want to participate need to register by a certain date, and then teams would form. The association have advised that there is no winning prize at the end. However, there would be a winning team.
Thank you very much, Madam Officer. I go now to the Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Well, considering that, I think at this stage perhaps it should be a low priority.
Okay, thank you. The Deputy Mayor suggested that this be a low priority given the information that Council's received. Council happy with that? Okay, so we put that as low at the moment. Thank you. Let's then go down to Pig Day Out. You see there that Mr. Tim Maguire is proposing the event on the 14th of August of this year for a total of $20,717.99, and it is indeed eligible. Nothing to add, Mr. Manager, Madam Officer? No?
I will add that we do have a copy of the full application if anyone does want to question any of the details that sit behind it in terms of the budget or the description of the event and what its outcomes are likely to be.
Thank you. Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's something novel and could become a regular thing. So I'm in favour of pushing that up the list.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to hear a bit more about what's actually proposed. Like it's, yeah, I've got it.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I must admit I'm a bit like you. I'm a little not overly enthusiastic about this, and the fact that it's also not by a community group as well. So the Economic Development Officer, right?
Yes, so this one here, he has put it through as a kick-off event, so that it would be, they would like to have it run every year. So the idea is that a company comes in to do the pig races. People can bet on the actual races themselves, so there will be a cash prize winner at the end of it. Country Hope actually use this as a fundraiser where sponsorships can come and bet on a pig, and that's how they raise money for Country Hope. So the idea has sort of come from that concept, and I think Tim's idea is that going forward it would be a fundraising event for a charity of choice. Not this one though, no.
Not a Temora Shire charity. Officer.
No, not this. No. No, so this one is not, there is no fundraising for this one whatsoever. It's just a community day with entertainment, food vendors. I'll invite some food trucks along. People can get involved in the pig racing if they wish to be involved. If not, they're just a spectator.
Thank you. Go to Councillor Irvine.
Have you guys got a breakdown of the costs at hand? Just in that there's approaching 21 grand of expenditure here, and we've got the pig race organiser, a classic car show, food vendors, live music and children's entertainment. Have you got any idea what the pig race is going to cost us?
The Economic Development Officer.
Yes, so the pig races, the supplier is Noah's Thoroughbred Pig Races, is $5,000. If we go through the budget here, there's $7,600 in marquees. That's probably their biggest cost.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand he wants to make this as an initial kick-off event, and he wants to have it ongoing. Does he have any plans or procedures as to how to fund it in upcoming years? That's my question at this stage anyway. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Yes, I don't know whether the officer has any comments in relation to that, but I suppose we've got to deal with what's before us, but it probably may be handy for Council to know if indeed we do know the answer to that. The officer?
Yes, so going forward after this, there would be an entry fee, a low entry fee of about $10 per person, depending on costs associated with running it in future years.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Oliver. Councillor Irvine.
If this was to be held at a venue like the showground or something, would that negate the need for the marquee hire?
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. The officer.
I believe so. I think it was just there in case it was a wet day. But that, I mean, if they didn't spend it, we'd have that coming back to us at council.
They haven't secured a venue yet.
They haven't. No. Yeah, noting that they haven't secured a venue just yet.
Thank you. Councillor Irvine.
Well, just my opinion on that event then would be, I'd still consider it a low priority in the whole community's sense. But if we are looking to allocate later on in the meeting, then we could allocate some partial to it.
Thanks, Councillor Irvine. I intend to agree with that as a low, as a low priority at the moment. But councillors, are you happy with that recommendation? I know Councillor Reinhold is very keen into pigs. The Deputy Mayor. Sorry, yes, the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I sort of think the same way. I mean, it has been said there's quite a bit of money involved in it, and yeah, just I think something we'll probably come back to and see how we see how we go through the rest of the items.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it's quite a unique event though. Like I know there's yabby races and there's other different types of races. I've never heard of any thoroughbred pig racing before, but it might put tomorrow on the map, I don't know. But yeah, I don't see it as a high priority, but I don't think we should be throwing it out just willy-nilly yet. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reinhold?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Oliver. Maybe he can get sponsorship from BFP and some of the other piggeries in town. I mean, and it's...
Yeah, we got to deal with what's before
I know,
before us, but
I don't want,
you're
I
quite...
don't want to throw it out.
Yeah,
So.
no, thank you, Councillor Reinhold. The issue I have why I support the low priority personally is because this is being submitted by an individual, not a community group. That's my view. I also believe, not that I think that it's appropriate, but you may have tomorrow making the headlines for different reasons from animal activists, and God forbid that would happen. However, in this day and age, I think you'd have to assume that it could well happen. So, councillors, can I have a show of hands, please? Who supports the Pig Day Out? This is quite clever, the title. That be deemed a low priority, please. If you can raise your hands. As a low priority. Okay, thank you. So that is deemed a low priority, and council can come back and revisit any of these for one last time when we go through it to make sure we're all happy. So let's then go to Pop-Up Pub, Old Narrabri Church. You have the details there in front of you. That's $7,000, cost $7,000, and it's from the Narrabri Social Community Centre, of which, of course, the Director, Mr Dunstan's vacated the chamber. So, councillors, your thoughts? Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. This has been done before, and I think with some degree of success. I'd like to see it up near the top at this point in time.
So you're advocating high priority?
Higher priority, yes.
Yep. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, Mayor, I tend to agree. It's it went off very well, I think, the first one they had, and I'd say, yeah, it'll be similar again, so yeah, I think it should be up the top end.
Thank you. Councillors, we have consensus that that event, the Pop-Up Pub, Old Narrabri Church, be a high priority? Happy? Nods? Okay, thank you very much. We have a tally. Oh, I beg your pardon, sorry. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand in support of this. I'm just a bit worried. I'm not really comfortable funding a cocktail party function up at the Narrabri Hills, at the Narrabri thing. That's the only aspect I'm not so keen on. The grant funding going to funding cocktails just seems a little bit odd.
Over the top.
But the rest of it, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Councillor McLaren. I will keep looking and glancing your way. The sun's actually not very helpful. Does the Manager, Economic Development, have a comment?
Yes, the funds requested don't. We're very careful to make sure we didn't fund alcohol or food where it wasn't, where that was the primary purpose of the event. So this event doesn't include funding the actual cocktails or anything. They're for purchase, say for sale at the event. It's not, I guess that's their way of ensuring they can get some income to perpetuate the event in the future.
Thank you for that clarity. Councillor McLaren, are you satisfied with that response?
Yes, I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, thank you for teasing that out. So, councillors, we're happy for that as a high priority. So let's then go to the Mary Gilmore Music Festival. Again, the details listed there. The cost of the event was $13,429. Eligible costs for consideration are $11,429. I'll go to the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some extra comments around this one. We did work with the festival organiser to ensure that the paid components of this event were not included in the event application. So there are different days of the Mary Gilmore Festival, some of which there's a cost to participate or enter, so and others are free. If there's a cost to participate, that makes them ineligible for the fund. So the days that are being requested for the funding are only those that are the free days.
Thanks very much, Mr. Manager. I'll go to Councillor Judd. Do you have any comments in relation to this?
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Judd. Councillor Judd. Thank you.
This is a 355 Community Council. I'm the council rep on it, but
Yep.
yeah, I think the most of the funding's to go towards a Sunday, which has always been a free day anyway. So it's certainly going to help with our costs on that day. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. I go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, this has been run for years and it's been very successful, so I think we should be supporting it. I think it should be in the high end.
Thanks, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Irvine.
I see you got barefoot bowls listed. I don't know how that works on the day. Do you got to be a member to go to that? And would that exclude, or is that just open to everyone?
So this is a proper meeting of council. So that, Councillor Judd, you've heard the question from Councillor Irvine. Do you have a response, please?
No, the barefoot bowls is usually caters for the campers that have come to town. It's just a free event. Yeah, so.
Thank you very much. So, councillors, you've heard a suggestion from the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, that the Mary Gilmore Music Festival be deemed a high priority for that $11,429. Are we all happy with that? Yes, we're all happy. Thank you. Very good. Then let's move on to the Area Park Swimming Pool Fun Days. Again, this submission is from the Area Park War Memorial Swimming Pool Committee. The cost of the event, $8,500, $7,000 is the eligible costs. Councillor Judd, did you have anything you wish to add at this point to help inform council? Or sorry, Councillor Irvine. Thank you. Can we go to Councillor Judd?
Yeah, again, I'm the council rep on this committee, and yeah, the main cost is trying to get hire some inflatable slides and things like that to have some fun days. So it'd be great, something they'll be trying to look for and probably in a permanent way in the future too.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. I now go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I'll move that we put these both in as a high priority. They seem to be wide community involvement.
Sorry, we're talking about the swimming pool fun day, yes? Thank you. So the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I did agree to a point. I just wonder whether we keep this in mind to see how we go with the budget, whether maybe end up only funding one day or something, perhaps the two, just see at the end how the budget's going.
So what you're suggesting, what medium?
No, that we leave that way, but if we short funding at the end, then we come back and just fund one day rather than the 2 days.
Righto. Thank you. So council happy then to, for the moment, have it in the high priority? Yes. Okay, thank you. The Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one point to note that the cost of the free pool entry, which is not included in this, so that would be an additional cost to council for sort of forgoing income. So we'd just need to factor that in or add an additional amount on top of that, which has been added into the the costs of opening the Tamora pool for the events that have been submitted here.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll leave that as a high priority. We have a list, don't we? Progressive list. Excellent, thank you. So we know where our pennies are up to. So let's go now to the Airy Park Community Tribute Show and Children's Disco. And of course, this event is being proposed by the Airy Park Community Projects Incorporated Committee, and the cost is $10,300. The eligible costs that they're seeking from council is $6,800. Councillor Judd, did you have anything you wish to add?
This is the event that actually planned in our drought funding committee events, which never happened because of COVID. So,
Right, that's right. A very good reminder. No, thank you very much, Councillor Judd. So, councillors, are we keen to see that as a high priority?
Excuse me, Mr.
Oh, sorry, Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question through you to Councillor Judd. I know there's about 4 events there that are Airy Park related. Does he have a priority list after the Mary Law Festival, which I assume is the most significant? Which one of those is his second, in terms of priority for Airy Park? Because I'm sure there must be a priority list.
Thanks, Councillor McLaren. I'll go to Councillor Judd.
not really. I thought the total of those 3 events probably should all go up. I think that's my opinion. But anyway, we'll see what happens with. Yes, as I said before, the tribute concert was planned for the drought events, but they never happened. And the third one down there, the unveiling of the mural, that's planned for this year. So we're hoping that will happen as well. But thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. Councillor McLaren, are you happy with that? Thank you. I must admit, Councillor Judd, I know that, we're always watching our pennies, but I must admit I do support supporting these events that are presented here. But again, it's like everything, we've got to fight it out with council. And I'll go now. No. So, councillors, are we happy for the Airy Park Community Tribute Show and Children's Disco for $6,800 to be high, medium, low priority? High? Happy? Councillor McLaren? High? Councillor Irvine's happy. Councillor Judd, are you sure you're happy with that? Thank you. So we'll put that as a high priority. Thank you. Let's go then to Airy Park Community Mural Unveiling and Light Show. Again, another project proposed by the Airy Park Community Project Committee, and the total cost of $12,875 is eligible to be considered for support under this program. So, Councillor Judd, do you have anything to add?
No, the major cost is hiring the projector for the light show, and it's something new we're going to want to try in Airy Park, as being probably going to an annual event if it comes off.
Thank you. Councillors, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I quite like the idea of the mural for the Area Park mailman over the years. I remember we used to get our mail delivered by Mr. Stanley Teal, I think his name was. And I'm just wondering if he's going to be on the mural with his loppy ear that he had. So,
I'm sure Councillor Judd will take that question on notice. Thanks, Councillor Oliver. I'll go to Councillor Irvine.
Just through the chair to the economic development team, can we just have a rough breakdown of those costs, please?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Irvine. So we'll go to the Economic Development Officer, Mrs. Ward.
Apologies, just opening up the document. Okay, so the breakdown of the costs, we have the hiring of the projectors, which is 7,800. And then the rest is a breakdown. So the street closure for 1,800. A coordinator's fee, I'm guessing, would be for the projector, which is 750. And then there's some smaller costs around advertising, so printing posters and flyers, advertising, hiring of jumping castle as well, $800. There were some costs in there for catering, barbecue, soft drink, which we have left in that one. It was a small amount of 500.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Councillor Irvine. So, councillors, Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to do this, but I think we have to be mindful of our community, and I think Area Park have had a fairly good nibble of the sandwich so far. So if we could, my suggestion is maybe move this to low and see how we go at the end.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Reinhold. So, Councillor Reinhold's had me suggesting that we put this as a low priority for the moment and again revisit. Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, and I'm in support of that, and there may be an opportunity to partially fund that. I think the light projection project is interesting, and it has got the ability to be an ongoing event. So I would like to see some element of this funded, but on the basis of what's left.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Irvine. So, councillors, are you happy then with the suggestion about low priority at the moment? So, Councillor Oliver.
I wouldn't like to see it low. I'd like to see it perhaps medium. I think it's a very good project. But yeah, not certainly not low. But and perhaps if we could revisit later on, I think you'd give it priority then, perhaps.
Thanks, Councillor. I actually support the medium priority. I wouldn't like to see it as a low priority. So can we just have a show of hands, please? First of all, are we happy if it was a medium priority? Can you raise your hand? Okay, Councillor, unanimous. Thank you. So let's put that as a medium priority. Thank you. Now let's go to tea lights event, which the Tomorrow Business Enterprise Group, TBEG, proposing to host. The cost $28,620, and those costs are again all eligible to be considered for funding under this program. Now, Councillor Reinhold, you are the council representative. I note that Councillor Judd and I are patrons of TBEG as well, so we'll declare that non-pecuniary interest. Thank you, Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I didn't have anything to do with this event application, so I'll just pass it over to the Economic Development Manager. Thank you.
So the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll probably be worthwhile giving an update on the running tally of the high value events that so far equating to $32,229 at this stage, so it's been approved as high. Moving on to Tea Light, this is an event that was also proposed by TBEG through the 2 successive years of COVID as a reconnection event, as a COVID-safe event around Lake Centenary, with the purpose of activating the community's involvement with the lake during the winter months and building on the solar lights that have been installed out there. So the proposal is to have live entertainment, use lots of with local bands, local food providers and community organisations being able to sell food, and having fireworks and releasing of lanterns across the lake, floating lanterns across the lake on sunset.
Excellent, thank you. Councillors, yes, it certainly is a large cost, $28,620. However, it is something that every single citizen in the Temora Shire community could be part of if they so chose. We go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinkley.
Mayor, so that 28,000, one of the costs, I suppose the fireworks would be a major part of that cost, I imagine.
So, thank you. We go to the Economic Development Officer.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. There are some large costs in here. The fireworks, they come in at $3,500. That would probably be our biggest cost. There's some costs there also for a band, which is coming in around $1,500. Actually, two bands, so there's $3,500 in costs there for a band or two bands.
Thank you. So you're trying to tease out, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
There's still a lot of money there that's...
Yeah. So perhaps, thank you. Perhaps if the officer might, do you have the information there to articulate that the bulk of what that 28,000 is made of, please, or question without notice?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there's quite a few large line items in there. So there's a fire twirler and hula hooper, who is, it's a $2,000 cost.
Hula hooper.
Jumping castle, so that again, that's $1,140. We need lighting hire around the
Foreshore or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, again, that's a $2,000 cost through Kennards or Coates. There's Temora Shire Council fees, which will be the stage, traffic control, and the bins. There's money in there for event coordination, so someone to actually coordinate the event, and that's $4,950 based on 150 hours. Portaloo hire, $800. So there's quite some chunky, and then there's all the advertisement as well, which they want to be pushing to into the Wagga newspapers, and not just locally. We want to get it out, make it like a main event, something we can run every year.
Thank you, Madam Officer. So I'll now go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just noticed in that report you said there's some hire from Kennards and other places which are out of town. I'm just wondering if they've made every effort to make sure that the local people could cater for that hiring part of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. I'll go to the Economic Development Manager.
Yes, that is the priority bag. From having been a close association with this event the last 2 years, there's no one in town that hires lights at this stage, although I do know of one business that is looking to get potentially expand to that business. So if that happens before this event comes off, then that's certainly a possibility. Also worth noting that this event was originally designed to have to be a cost to the community, so an entry fee. Because of the condition of the funding, the fee has been waived for the first year to see if it can be, if it's got legs and if it runs forward. And in future years, there'll be a cost to attend, obviously, and that's why I think that the event costs seem quite high at this point, because it's the first year, and B, there's no way that the cost can be offset through admission.
Thank you. So, councillors, Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in those costings, there was $4,500 for a coordinator to run the one night event. Is that what I heard?
I think that's right. Yes, that is correct, Councillor McLaren.
Look, I'm very supportive of having a tea lights function, but I'm very concerned about spending almost $30,000 on one night, one-off event. I just can't imagine it just seems a lot of money just for one night. It's not even over a couple of days, it's just one night. So that worries me.
Thanks, Councillor McLaren. I can understand that, because that was my initial reaction too. I go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
I guess this is really open to everybody. Like, it's not, it's something that would suit everybody. It's not, and probably bring people into the community too from outside the Shire. And the TV do a lot for our community. So, I'm sort of thinking that perhaps it's well worth supporting this. The cost of it sounds quite high to me, but I guess if that's what it's going to cost to run it, well, that's what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sort of suggesting maybe we yeah, maybe put it on the high category.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. I go to Councillor Judd.
The question is to the manager, we're going to allow 45,000 for the coordinator for all events, yet we're allowing 4,500 for this event.
Yeah,
Couldn't the manager do this event as well, out of the 45,000 or?
that's a good question. Thank you, Councillor Judd. To the Economic Development Manager.
I think it's worth remembering that TBEG is no longer a 355 committee. The events coordinator role that council is hiring is to deliver council's events and to support the council resources for non-council events. So this would be considered a non-council event. Council did, when in the event application that was proposed to by TBEG for this event, refer the council costs to TBEG to be claimed under this program. So I think it's in recognition, as I said before, that coordinating an event like this does take quite a significant number of hours. Volunteers are, because it's business, it's a business association, people have less time to volunteer, so there's a heavy reliance on the executive officer to coordinate that. It's in addition to the work that they would normally do. And event coordinator costs are eligible under the program, so they've included them because they can't get them back through admission charges.
Thanks, Mr Manager. That clarifies it, I think. Yeah, Councillor Judd, thank you very much for that. So, councillors, you've had a suggestion from the Deputy Mayor that we put the tea light event as a high priority. I know there's some... I'll go now to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, look, I support the concept, but I am still at odds. No one else that I can see here or that I've heard of is invoicing for organising. So I support the concept. I think it'd be great. $3,500 for fireworks I thought was quite reasonable. But I have got concerns about that figure. I don't know whether we could put it as a high priority, but with a lower level of funding to reflect that.
Thanks, Councillor Irvine. And look, I think that has some merit. I'll go to Councillor McLaren.
Yes, I would very much support it and just reduce the scope to maybe $20,000 or $25,000. I don't know whether they could do that within that sort of a budget, but I would be more comfortable with that sort of budget.
So if you had something, for example, like if council wanted to allocate, say, 25,000, and then it would be up to the TBEG organisation to fund the remainder. Okay, thank you. The manager?
I would suggest at 25,000, the event could still proceed, but it probably wouldn't be able to be delivered with absolutely everything that they were offering before. But I don't think it would be enough to damage the event in terms of our overall experience by that amount.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, perhaps we'll go with that and then see how we're going at the end. If we do have, surplus fund or something, or maybe go back to that.
Right, thanks very much. So, councillors, we're obviously deeming this a high priority with a reduced figure of a 25,000 allocation. So, are we all happy with that? And then, Councillor McLaren, are you happy? Councillor Oliver?
I'm happy with that, yes, Mr Mayor, thank you. I just have a question. If there are any other overspends from these events, who picks up the tab?
Good point, Councillor Oliver. My understanding is that it is up to the individual organisation. And I'm sure that when Council consider this, that will be part of correspondence to those organisations and verbal communication to enhance that. So, yes, a very good question. The manager?
And that is true. You are correct. It is the responsibility of the applicant to meet any costs over and above the grant amount, and that is another role of the Community Events Program Coordinator to monitor and work with those organisations to ensure that their funds are allocated and spent correctly, and that's communicated to them.
Thank you very much.
Just one question,
Councillor Oliver?
just to what's your economic manager? Underspends. What happens with this, if there's any money left over, where does that go to? Or does that go toward helping out some of the ones that have overspent? That's
Thank you. I go to the Economic Development Manager.
Any funds that are underspent in the program, the allocation in total, will need to be repaid to the state government. Yep.
No, that's right. We all spend our money very wisely. Thank you, Councillor Oliver. So let's then go over to the page to the Christmas fair, the Tea Ho Ho Ho. Yeah. That's hosted by Teabag, and you see very significant cost, $48,860, and there's $11,860 that is eligible to be considered under this grant program. I go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, just if we could, through the chair to the economic development team, if we could just have a bit of a breakdown of those costs, please.
Thank you. So we'll go to the Economic Development Officer. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. So the large amount that did come through, Craig and I both went through the initial budget and have removed a lot of the bigger costings. So did you want the breakdown of the 11,000? The remaining, yeah. So there was quite a few. There was a council cost that came through for stage setup, traffic control, some tables and chairs, Portaloo hire. There is a large chunk that's gone to event advertising. So again, they want to push that not just within our shire, but push it out a little bit further. So we have visitors from out of town. There are some costs in there for entertainment. So Young Regional Conservatorium, kids entertainment, which was we've got petting zoo, Tony Joe's Amusements, the Spotto comp that's run every year, jumping castles, and street closure. And again, there is 3,300 in there for event coordination.
Thanks very much, Madam Officer. I'll go now to Councillor Judd.
Question to the Director of Accounting. Have we allowed anything in our budget for Christmas fair? The council's budget or not?
Thank you, Councillor Judd. We'll go to the Director of Administration and Finance.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I believe there'd be 4,200 in the budget for the Teabag Christmas fair, which is generally our cost in relation to traffic control.
So yeah, that's what I think Judd's trying to get at. We're doubling up. So the Director of
Sorry,
Admin
that
and
budget may
Finance.
actually be a little bit less this year because we no longer close the main street, or we haven't in the last couple of years. So that may be a bit less this year from memory.
Thank you. I'll go to the Economic Development Manager.
From my recollection, I think it was reduced to around 1,200 for this year's allocation. I guess if the costs are approved under this program, then it wouldn't need to come out of council's budget.
We enhance the budget surplus.
Mayor would like that.
Thanks, Councillor Judd, for teasing that out. So, councillors, you have there, that's a tremendous event, as we all know, from a Temora Shire community perspective. I'll go to Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think we have to do it. It's
Money for Jam.
Yes. It supports our local businesses, and I think the aim was to close off the street, isn't it, for this one? Yes. And I know when we did that the last time, it was just fantastic, and not closing it off. I know a lot of parents were concerned about their children, running across the road. So I'm in favour of supporting it as a high. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Reinhold. We'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Mr Mayor, this is normally run anyway, and Teabag seem to be able to manage by themselves with council just putting a bit of money for traffic control and so forth. So yeah, I was wondering whether at this stage maybe we still support it, but just have it as a medium or something for the time being, and to see how we go through with the rest of the paper.
Thank you. So I must admit, I did have it as a high priority, but I understand what what the deputy mayor is angling at. I must admit, I wouldn't be supporting council funding. The main Hoskin Street closure. I just don't think we wouldn't be able to afford to do that. But on this occasion, when there's money available via the state government, it's probably something extra special that we could do. But anyway, you've had a suggestion from the Deputy Mayor. I'll go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, looking at the significant reduction in costs that they've achieved, I'm still borderline uncomfortable with the coordinator's fee that's built into that. But I think every other cost is recognisable and accurate. I'd be inclined at this stage to support this as a high priority.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Well, councillors, you have the Deputy Mayor suggesting that it be a medium priority. Councillor Reinhold, you've suggested a high priority. So let's go. Start. The Deputy Mayor has suggested medium. Hands up those that would support that it be a medium priority. 1, 2, 3. Hands up those that it be a high. 3. It's a high. Oh, sorry. 4. Councillor McLaren. Okay, thank you. So it's a, just caught that hand of the corner of my eye. Thanks, Councillor McLaren. Let's put that as a high, but again, councillors, remember that we're going to have one last look when we get through it, and then if you want to make changes, you'll have one last opportunity to do so. So thank you very much. Now let's go to Temora Shire Council events, which are, of course, also extremely important to council. So we have here a recommendation about the event coordinator. Casual role 2 days a week from July 22, mid-April 2023. $45,000. We've heard various reasons why we need to have this position. Whilst it didn't go down well with some of us, I think we acknowledge that our staff just simply haven't got the time, and I think council certainly acknowledged that previously. I'll go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. The $45,000, I assume, is the total cost if all of these events are organised and coordinated. What happens in the event that some aren't? Does that cost then come down from 45 to another figure?
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. The Economic Development Manager.
It's a good question, and the figure is a bit of a stab in the dark based on an estimate of how long we think it's going to take and how many events are going to be approved council events. We assume that council will be quite supportive of its own events, given that they are all aimed for all segments of the community, and for most of them they also provide us cost saving to the already allocated budget the council has. The $45,000 includes on cost as well, so it's a full accurate figure of what it's going to cost council.
Thank you. Now go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, in terms of a dollar figure per hour, what are we looking at is as an all-in cost, please.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Question directed to the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you. So the role is advertised at grade 7, which as a casual, which includes 25% loading, and that equates to somewhere between $45.65 and $51.38 per hour. So the allocation is made in accordance to the higher end of that figure.
Thank you. Well, councillors, Councillor Irvine.
I'll just make a comment. It's a better job than what TBEG are offering. I think they're $49.50 for 150 hours, works out about $33 an hour. So we've got a very good job we're putting up there. It should be sought after.
We'd like to think so. Thank you. So councillors, we're all in favour of allocating that 45 to this event coordinator for that period as listed. All happy? Raise your hands, please. Thank you. Councillor McLaren, you're happy? Okay, thank you. So that is high priority. Let's now go down to Australia Day 2023 pool party. Council hosted $8,700. The cost, and that also is the eligible amount to be considered under this grant program. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Council has a budget for Australia Day, as everyone knows. Is this just for the pool party part of it, or does this cover the entire day's events?
My understanding is just for the pool party, but I'll get advice. That is correct. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so we one heck of a pool party. Councillor Reinhold.
So sorry, could we get a bit of a
Breakdown.
Is it like the
Okay.
slide and free entry and?
Thanks, Councillor Reinhold. I defer to the Economic Development Officer, Mrs Ward.
Thank you, Councillor, for the question. So the breakdown, of course, for the pool party, we have 2,200 for pool entry cost. There's also salaries and wages for staff to work outside of their normal hours for the day on the public holiday. Pool staff salary and wages as well, because they need to be covered to run it, otherwise they will close the pool. There's some money out there in there as well for the outdoor games that we run. Venue hire, marketing, and a DJ.
Thank you. So, councillors, look, I know that this isn't an extra event to what we normally run, and I think it would go down well, particularly we're given this extra money. It's a very special day, Australia Day, and I certainly, pardon me, would support this particular event. But Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. We've done something similar this year with Australia Day, and I'm just wondering what the degree of success or take-up of that was as to what's going to happen this year, the next Australia Day event. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor McLaren.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I am very much in support of the Australian pool party. I think it's great for the young kids to have a function at the pool. If there's one inch more though, with our wonderful slide and all these extra things, I do feel that we need to at least fund the Australia Day pool party area park, if not the second day. I think we need to at least have consistency with something out of the area park pool as well. But we'll go into that, I'm sure, but that's just my feeling.
Well, thank you, Councillor McLaren. My understanding is that we're already doing that. Yeah. So we're already doing that, Councillor McLaren, under the area park swimming pool fund days ×2, which is Australia Day and another day to be confirmed.
Oh, I misunderstood. I didn't know if it was rough idea.
No, that's no problem. Thanks, Councillor McLaren. Okay, councillors, I go to Councillor Reinhold.
Sorry, thank you, Mr Mayor. And also, what a fantastic way to showcase our new pool.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Reinhold. That's a great point, and just further amplifies why perhaps we should be considering seriously to rank it as high. But I'll put that to council. Could you please raise your hand if you support high? Thank you. Well, that's unanimous. Well done. Thank you. Let's then go next to we have monthly welcome events. Monthly new resident welcome events connect the community with newcomers. Again, Tomorrowshire Council, and $6,160 is the figure that's being put to us to consider. Obviously, I think we've run these events traditionally once every year or, and they're very, very good. And this is looking to expand that for, I'm assuming, 12 months. 10. Yeah. Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Judd.
Yeah, Rotary used to run this annual events for many years until it became too hard because of privacy and never could find out who the new residents were. And I know in recent times one of our staff members has been running it, but on a 12-monthly basis. But I think sort of monthly is going to be a bit hard. I'd probably tend to think quarterly might be a better way to go.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. I must admit I was probably thinking that might be a bit ambitious, the monthly thing, and a bit sort of ho-humish, but the quarterly, yeah, that could very well work. Certainly, I think it's got to be more often than once. But Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with Councillor Judd with this one. I think monthly's way too close. I'm not sure what our uptake is with new residents, but I fear that you may have 1 or 2 months in there with no one turning up at all. So, yeah, I think quarterly or 6 monthly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks. Some good points, Councillor Oliver. Thank you. So to the manager and to the officer, if we reduced it to, say, quarterly or 6 monthly, would that affect the figures that are before council, please?
Yes, obviously significantly reduce those. The purpose of having them more regularly is that we are getting new residents arrive all the time, and it's really difficult. The purpose of the event is to try and make people connect with the community and retain in the community and help employers keep their staff so that they're not leaving, because obviously workforce attraction and retention is a really key issue for a lot of businesses. Waiting for 6 or 12 months for an event is a long time to wait for someone to have the opportunity to get integrated in the community. The purpose of these events also is to revolve them around different locations, community facilities, so engage people in the use of those facilities, or you engage people in those facilities that have volunteering opportunities to help bolster those as well. So different museums and different community organisations that rely on volunteers. It is a real way of connecting both newcomers and other residents. They're teamed as newcomers, but that's about connecting them to our community facilities and getting them involved.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question to the Economic Development Officer. In your opinion then, Craig, do you think that every month we'd have enough to support it monthly, or I'd probably happy to see it every second month maybe, but I'll take your advice on that. Thank you.
So, thanks, Councillor Oliver. Go to the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you. We did reduce it from 12 to 10, just in recognition that there'll be some months where there'll be too much on, so we could potentially reduce that a little bit further. I think every 2 months might be a little bit light on, but we could certainly look at that. What was the second part of your question? Sorry.
Just whether you thought that we could...
Oh, in terms of the number of attendees, yeah. So again, not every event is going to appeal to everyone. So that's the purpose of sort of rotating around different facilities that have appeal to different interest groups and or different lots of interest, different people from the public, and give people the opportunity to connect with different members of the public who also share different interests. So the least often we do them, it's not about having lots of people, it's about having meaningful connections. I guess that's more important in this instance.
Not wait till. Thank you. Thank you. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I think, you're saying they have 10 events. Well, I think $6,000 is pretty good value for money then, compared to some of the other events we've just been looking at. So it is overall a low cost item.
Thank you. I'll go to the General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just a question to the Economic Development Manager.
Yeah.
You say that you're rotating through different venues. Are you talking sporting venues, entertainment venues, or what sort of venues are you talking about?
Thank you. The Economic Development Manager.
The proposal, it hasn't been exactly finalised yet. We would sort of seek to get people's interest, feedback and interest, what they're interested in. But yes, it would cover a broad range of those things. So community facilities like the library, the town hall, theatre, the Bundawarra Centre, which includes all of the, obviously there's so many volunteering opportunities there and ways for people to get involved. The Aviation Museum could be another one. So the Art Centre would be another one.
Thank you. I'm just concerned it may lose its lustre. I think it's an important thing that we should be doing, but yeah, I am a bit concerned with the regularity, whether it loses momentum. However, it's over to Councillor Irvine.
With the access to the funding available in this program, I think we run it, we'll determine over the 12-month period what the frequency should be, and at the end of this program we'll have a good idea of how this program should look going forward. So I think we should just use the funding as it exists and explore the options as we go through, and in 12 months' time we'll know how well or otherwise it works.
Thank you. That sounds reasonable to me anyway. Councillors, so you're happy to leave it in, councillors? Councillor Judd, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm happy to leave it in, but a bit worried if we doesn't come off every month. You know, what do you do with the surplus then? You know, it's. I prefer to Councillor Oliver have it bi-monthly. But I reckon that would be better on.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'd be thinking too. In an experimental year, Councillor Oliver.
Well, thank you, yeah, as you just said, it's an experiment, so we do it bi-monthly, well, that'll still give the same indication as what Councillor Irvine was just talking about too, so yeah, bi-monthly. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. I go now to Councillor McLaren.
I just had a question about the who's invited to go to this. Is it just to new residents, or so they can just meet each other as new people, or is it open to the whole community to come and integrate and meet these new residents and make them feel involved? Like, what's the invitee list?
Yeah, good question. Thank you, Councillor McLaren. I'll go to the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you. No, it would be open to the whole community. The purpose is to integrate newcomers with existing community people. So if existing residents are open to making new connections, then they would certainly be welcome to come along. Just in relation to Councillor Oliver's comments, the total allocated per event is $770. So if we reduce them down to bi-monthly, that's 6 times 7 is $42-ish thousand.
Okay. Thank you. So, councillors, what you wish? We do need to move on. Are we happy to do 5 events as opposed to the budget of 10? Councillor Irvine.
I'll just move that we do the 6 events at the nominated fee that the manager suggested. Yeah.
So 6, because remember that this was budgeted for 10, so you're suggesting... Right, okay. So, are council happy with that? Yeah. Councillor McLaren? Oh, she's patting a dog. Okay, so Councillor McLaren, you're happy?
Yes, I think that's great.
Yeah.
1 month, 2 to 4 months, what, $4,000, or what will the budget be?
I think that
It actually comes out to $4,620. That's $770 times 6.
Right. Let's move on. Remember, this is a formal meeting of council. So do we have an update of the figures, please?
Mr. Mayor, the running total for high priority events is, including the event coordinator fee, is $127,409 out of $239,000 allocation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, let's then proceed. Councillors, of course, that was a high priority 6 months. Thank you. So, and adjusted those Those figures have been adjusted to 4,620.
Excuse me,
Thank
Mr
you.
Mayor.
Councillor Reinhold.
I might just leave because I'm on the community centre as a volunteer, just for this one if you think I should.
Thank you. Councillor Reinhold is declaring an interest as a board member of the Temora Community Centre. Thank you. So, councillors, you have this event proposed, actually it looks like a partnership with Council and the Community Centre, Family Expo, held on those dates in October 24th, 28th of this year. $7,000 is what's being requested from us, and it seems like it ticks all the boxes, but over to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I think the community centre do a great job. It'll engage a section of the community that may not have been engaged in some of the other events. And I'd like to see this one go ahead as a high, as is.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing some nods in relation to that. So councillors, are you happy then for that to be deemed a high priority? So Councillor McLaren, Councillor Judd, happy? Okay. Thank you. High priority. Thanks, Councillor. I wonder if we bring the others back, if they'd like to. Or they disappeared? Oh, okay. Thank you. Let's go now to New Year's Eve 2022. Pool party, bands, barefoot bowls at Temora Bowling Club. That is also looks like a joint event by Council and the Temora Bowling Club, and the figure that they're requesting for us to consider allocating is $14,809. Councillor Irvine.
I've only got one issue in the breakup of this, is that the bowling club, whilst they're owned by members, is still a business as such. And I'd be happy to support the pool party and stuff like that, but I'm of the mind that perhaps the bowling club should pay for the bands. They'll be taking the proceeds of it. If the fireworks were held at the pool, I'd be happy to fund the fireworks, but I think there's a little bit of a crossover here whereby the bowling club will profit from bar sales, and if they want to put the bands on as part of that and benefit from having the people there, I'm happy enough, but I just don't see, it's just not quite fitting for mine.
Thanks, Councillor Irvine. I think you raise a good point, and the other point to consider is, and I know this is just, I suppose, convenience, that because it's at the proposed to be at the pool, the bowling club's right beside it, it sort of dovetails nicely, but we're also mindful that there are other clubs as well, and that comes then back to what Councillor Irvine was saying again, for us to consider. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I've got similar thoughts too, but I'd be interested to know whether the bowling club is actually putting something towards this.
A good point, Mr Deputy Mayor. So the Economic Development Officer, do you have any information to share with Council, please?
Thank you for the question there. They, in conversations with them, they're not putting any money towards the event. They would just be happy to make sure that there was staff available. They would open up their greens for barefoot bowls for anyone that wanted to play, and also use their barbecue facilities. So no cost to them.
Thank you very much. I'll go now to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. No cost and all profit by the sound of that, doesn't it? So, and as you said earlier, there are other clubs around that might get their noses out of joint, so I'm not sure that we should be funding all of it neither. I agree with Councillor Irvine, so not sure where this is going to go just yet. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. I'll go now to Councillor Judd.
The other fireworks event was held on New Year's Eve down the railway. Has that fallen by the wayside now or not?
Yeah, my understanding is that used to be run in the day by the Promotion Visitations Committee, and then it was by a private group of ladies that was organising it, and then, yeah, so, thank you. Councillor Irvine.
I'd be happy enough if the fireworks and the pool party and the bands, we took the stage down and set it up at the pool and had the bands at the pool. And if anyone wants to go across the bowling and have a game of barefoot bowls and a beer, they're more than welcome. But you could then invite families to come down to the pool, use the water slide, have the pool party, have some bands, have some fireworks. I think that'd tick more boxes for mine.
Yeah, thank you. I tend to agree, Councillor Irvine, with that. But what is Councillor's wish? So just say, for example, Mr. Manager and Madam Officer, that what Councillor Irvine was proposing is something that Council wanted to adopt. How would that adjust the figures, please? The Manager?
I don't think there'll be any adjustment to the figures. The only allocation in terms to the bowling club part of the evening was $2,750. That was for the band and for some marketing. So I think if all maybe $250 for marketing, but we could absorb that into the main event. If it was the band was still going to be utilised for, you know, in the park or something like that, or in the pool.
Thank you. Okay. Councillors, you happy to have that as high or medium? Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I would support having this as high, but I think, yeah, we need to have that definite line between the pool and the bowling club, so there's no comeback of council supporting one venue and not others. So.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Okay, so councillors, you're happy to have ranked as a high priority on that basis that you've just heard articulated from the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Irvine. Councillor McLaren, you're happy? Yep.
Yes, I support the pool holding and not. You know, I think it will create too much tension between other venues if you were supporting the bowling club having to use their function.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor McLaren. Okay, very good. So let's proceed down to One Book, One Tomorrow. This is a project from our very active librarian and a team. And you see there that $4,576 to host that book club event. So your wish, Councillor Irvine.
Just to the Economic Development Officer, please. Can I just have a quick breakdown of ballpark costs? I'm really in support of this if the majority of that funding's for books and the minimum of it's for the function. I'd hate to buy 10 books and then put a party on for...
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. We'll go to the Economic Development Officer.
Thank you, Councillor and Mayor, for the question. I'm just opening up their documentation that's sent through. Okay, so total event costs $5,452. 25 copies at $20 each is $500. Catering is $20 per head, with usually 60 attendees, and the author fees are approximately $2,000. They also have some costs of staffing in there as well, because it's a nighttime event, and some advertising.
So that's about 1,000 less than what we've got.
Yeah. I took some stuff
Oh,
out.
okay, right. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor, and thank you, Madam Officer. Welcome back to the Chamber, Councillor Bushell. We're up to One Book, One Tomorrow in the grants, so we are getting through them slowly but surely. So, councillors, again, it's a project from council staff and the library. I'm just so proud of what is happening down there, as I know all of you are. The Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'd like to see us support it as a high.
Thank you. So you're proposing that we support it as a high priority. Thank you, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. agree with Deputy. I think this should be a high priority. I've actually been to one of these, believe it or not. Well, a couple actually, and it was not to the scale that this is going to be, but to sit there and listen to an author talk about the way they went about their book and stuff, it was quite interesting, really. So, yeah, even for someone like me. Thank you.
No, thanks very much, Councillor Oliver. Okay, so councillors, you're all happy to have that as a high priority? Okay, thank you. So that, we got a total, please, Mr Manager, just for Councillor Bushel's benefit of what we're up to at the moment. And then we're going to revisit these very quickly, just so, yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the total value of high priority events, including the events coordinator, is $153,794 out of $239,000 available.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you're doing well, councillors. Let's keep rolling. The Active Ageing Expo. Are there any declarations of interest at this time? If not, Councillor, you're a bad influence.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Having turned
Councillor
60,
Oliver.
having just turned 65, I'm not going to declare an interest at this point in time. I think I've got a few more years to go. But look, I would support this as a high priority one. It's been held in the past with some success, and I'd like to see it happen again. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Councillor Oliver. I'm seeing nods, councillors, to what Councillor Oliver's just said. I'll go to Councillor Reinhold.
I think we allowed for this in our budget too, so this would help our...
Or did that get the chop? Thanks, Councillor Reinhold. We got the chop.
Oh.
In a very caring way, but it got the chop. So, councillors, I'm seeing nods. Are you happy to allocate that 2,600 for this as a high priority? Yes. Happy, Councillor? Yep, thumbs up, Councillor McLaren, everyone. Okay, thank you. Let's go now to the David Schlunke, a local artist, and his art project, which is being proposed by the Temora Shire Heritage Committee, and the cost is $20,000, which is not insignificant. Now, the Deputy Mayor.
Mr Mayor, this is one I'd like to see left to last. I'd like to see how we end up with a full budget. I've got some reservations about this one. Yeah, I don't know, I'm suggesting we leave it and come back to it and just see how our budget's going.
So effectively you're suggesting that be deemed as a low priority at the moment and come back?
Yep.
Yep, okay, thank you. Go to Councillor Reinhold. Sorry, I'll come back to... Oh, sorry, Councillor Reinhold has foregone her opportunity to speak at the moment to go to Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is part of the Heritage Committee's program to capture significant local history from significant community residents, and this is our flagship case, and we're doing capturing David Schlunke's history as a national artist, and we've got a very prominent interviewer coming to interview him to capture his visual history. We've got a film fellow coming from Canberra who specialises in capturing videos and drone footage. The idea is to capture this as a short film, and it'll be an asset for the community going forward, and there'll be a launch at the Town Hall Theatre with catering and what have you. But further to that, they're also going to create a digital exhibition of his most significant artwork, his archibald big paintings that were hung, and that will go as a permanent digital exhibition that you'll be able to have a QR code when you go to the Bundaberg Centre and use your digital device to see the flip through as a permanent gallery piece at the Bundaberg Centre. Both items are very, very significant culturally for Temora. We should be proud of our artists and be capturing this, and this is a wonderful opportunity. I think we could perhaps lower the 20,000 maybe down to 15 or so to try and make sure it happens, and maybe do some self-catering, but I really do think this is really important for our community. It's not, and it's creating an asset that will be ongoing. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLaren. So, Councillor McLaren, are you proposing that this figure of 20,000 be reduced, or are you saying effectively that all donations are gratefully received?
No, I would be happy if we could allocate 15,000. I think we could cut some bits and just some little trimmings off with catering and bits and pieces, but 15 would allow it to go through and capture the data, have it preserved. It's going to be, the fellow who's been interviewing is going to do with the National Library of Australia. He says this is of national significance. His project is very exciting. He's going to lodge it in the National Library and in the archives. So it really is quite a significant project.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. I now go to Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Okay. A lot of the other events are gone, and this will stay with us forever, and I think it's something we should be very proud of and encourage. And if we can do it for 15,000, I agree with Councillor McLaren that we keep it in as a high. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Reinhold. We'll go to the Economic Development Manager.
I just wanted to provide some a breakdown of the figures for the event before we start slashing the budget allocation. The audiovisual production is $10,000. The virtual exhibition production is $5,000. Drone footage and post production $3,000. LCD screen hire $1,500. Venue hire and catering $500. I would suggest that there's not a huge amount of room for slashing the budget for excess items without risking the quality of the production as it's proposed.
Can I just add something?
Thank you. I go to Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I don't know whether the manager's aware, but the Heritage Committee has already allocated $5,000 out of their budget to capture the raw data, to do the preliminary video recordings so that we can make the film. If this is funded the full 20,000, then the Heritage Fund Committee will use that 5,000 to do future projects on other residents, but in lieu of not getting the 20,000 and having a reduced budget, they will use that 5,000 in the Heritage Fund to start the ball rolling and capture the data while we can, because Donors Fund is 80 this year, so it is a priority for the Heritage Fund, and if we did drop it to 15 out of this fund, we could still do the whole project fully scoped.
Thank you very much, Councillor McLaren. We go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, and I think the ongoing value that this represents, if it's done properly, will be realised again and again and again, and I think it'll be a wonderful resource for the future generations of Temora. If we could do a proper job of this, listening to the Economic Development Manager and the breakdown of the funds, I'd like to see this a high priority with the full $20,000 allocated.
Thank you. Councillors, your view, I'd actually like to have a contrary view in part to Councillor Irvine. I'd like to see it reduced to the 15 in light of Councillor McLaren's advice. However, it's over to you. And just remember, there's also lots of other arts and cultural bits and pieces that are to be considered as well that you need to be mindful of down the track to consider. Councillor McLaren?
Can I propose we support it to 15,000 and put that to the vote?
Okay, thank you. So Councillor McLaren is suggesting that as a high priority we allocate 15,000 for the David Slanky, a local artist, and his art project as nominated by the Council's Heritage Committee. So hands up those that would support that, please. Okay. Those that aren't in favour? Okay, thank you. We'll accept that to the 15. Councillor Oliver.
Could I just make a comment that after we've done and dusted everything, we could come back and perhaps if there was money there, because I mean, I'm not sure whether these other art and events are going to get up at this stage, so there might be some give and
there
take
might be some wriggle room there. So thanks, Councillor Oliver. So we go now to the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just done a quick calculation. There's $92,274 remaining in events unallocated. That doesn't include the low priority events or medium priority events we've already gone through. So if all of those events were approved, we would end up with $248,000, which is about $10,000 over budget. That helps with the discussion.
Thank you very much. Let's now go down the page to the Arts Festival events. You see here that talking about a month-long series of events, showcase those various events from through March of next year, and pardon me, the amount that's being asked of council to consider for that funding is the $18,800. Now, I'm trying to preempt what council will be thinking now. What does that $18,800 consist of? And perhaps it may be helpful. Oh, the officer's already read our minds, and she has that information available. So the Economic Development Officer.
Thank you, Mayor. So the concept of this is that we would turn the month of March into a bit of an arts fest. The breakdown of that 18,800 would see three facilitated workshops at the Arts Centre. Those costs that for the three we've got down as $5,000. That includes facilitator fees, hire of the Arts Centre, and material costs. There is $1,000 allocated for a Temora Art Trail, which is usually run by Maureen Rayner. We have also a live music or live arts at different venues. So there's $4,000 allocated for artist fees. That could be for bands. It could be for an open night where there's comedians or poets that come and do readings. We have a Sunday, 2 times Sunday events where we would see bands that come. We would invite bands to come and play to the community. There's $3,000 in budget there. Sound technicians or any support that we need is $800. There's a significant amount around marketing because we really want to amp up the idea of Arts Fest. And we also have the idea of creating a booklet. So there's $4,000 allocated to an Art Fest booklet design and printing.
Thank you, Madam Officer. So, councillors, it's certainly something new. There is the money there to do it if that was the wish of council. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Mr. Mayor, I'm quite happy to support this. I think it's over a month. It's going to be quite a few. Sounds like quite a few different functions and so forth, venues and so forth. So I think it's probably reasonable value. Yeah.
Thank you. I tend to agree. It'd be interesting to see how that would go, but it certainly would liven up the Shire even more, I believe. So, councillors, I am thinking, are we happy with the high priority for this month of arts? Is that the name, Arts Fest? Right.
Working title.
Good. It just doesn't grab me. It just doesn't talk to me. So, Council, we're happy. Councillor McLaren? Yep. Okay. So we put that as a high priority. Thank you very much. Council, just at this point, would you like to grab, because I know we do have scheduled at 1:30 a visit to Mobile Stage. We can either dispense with that, keep rolling, have lunch after, and postpone that to next time, or you can grab something now and keep working through it and still hopefully get away at the 1:30 up to see the stage. So would you like to do that or keep rolling? Grab something now? Okay, so if you get a couple of minutes to do that, and you can bring it back to your desks. Yes. So councillors will just be going into recess for 2 minutes and we'll recommence. Thank you, councillors, members of staff. We reconvene for this special meeting of Temora Shire Council to consider, of course, the Temora Shire Community Events Program's expressions of interest. And we've got up, pardon me, councillors, to the Lego exhibition, again submitted by the team at Temora Library. And of course, as part of the Arts Festival, the library would like to run a Lego exhibition, which is a huge success in Wagga Wagga recently, and they're asking us to consider allocating $7,452. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd really like to see this as a high priority, knowing how much kids nowadays appreciate the Lego and what you can do with the stuff. It's fascinating, really. So I'd like to see this right up there with our hierarchy with these events. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Councillor Oliver. Yeah, this will be a big hit with the younger kids and so forth, and well, not only them, like there's something amazing what they can build out of Lego, and I think everyone will get a kick out of it, but particularly young ones.
Thanks very much, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'm seeing nods, councillors, on the remarks that the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Oliver have made. Are we happy to allocate that 7,452 as a high priority? Happy? Councillor McLaren, you happy with that? Yep, thank you. So let's put that there. Then we go to adult macrame workshops, again as part of the Arts Festival. The library would like to run 2 workshops at the library, and each event can host 30 participants, and they're asking council to consider allocating $4,942 to this adult macrame workshops. Councillor Irvine.
This one for mine doesn't have the broad community appeal that a lot of the other things do. And it looks much more like something that may be run at the Arts Centre as a program for people who might want to pay to participate. So if we were pushed for finances, I'd prefer to see this one a low priority.
Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Good Lord. Pardon me, councillors. I go to...
Something stronger.
What'd you put in? Put in there. I go now to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Irvine. This is only for a relatively small group of people, and yeah, I think the library's done pretty well anyway, so I think maybe put down the list a bit for the time being at least.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Let's so council happy then to put that as a low priority. Okay, thank you. Councillor McLaren, happy, low priority? Thank you, thumbs up. For those listening, we do have council, thank you. We do have council, excuse me, we do have Councillor McLaren that is with us via Zoom, and appreciate her patience and everyone else's patience with me. Councillors, let's now proceed to me, you and Marie, and that is being proposed to us by Motion Arts. Temora. Total cost is projected at $34,900, and they're asking council to consider allocating $24,900 in what appears to be the most unique presentation, although I think that date's incorrect. Yeah, that's fine. And of course, council were pleased to have had a presentation by Mrs. Mackenzie at a recent council meeting to further amplify what's before us in the chamber today. So, councillors, over to you for your thought. It is a significant amount of money for you to consider. Councillor Irvine.
I had no idea that this person existed until I was engaged to produce a history panel for the terrace at the Bundawarra Centre a number of years ago, and it just blew my mind that the international notoriety that this person achieved after being born at Combanning Station back in the very early 1900s. And I've just got a small passage off that panel. Her London debut at the Royal Albert Hall for a benefit concert in June 1903, prompted Missouri Governor David Harris to invite her to appear at the St. Louis World Fair in 1904, introducing her to the American audience. While in the US, Thomas Edison engaged Marie Norell to record on his phonograph. Edison had enjoyed success in recording the lower male registers, but hitherto had not captured the female singing voice. Her first recording, Kalani, was made in September 1905. That's just a very slight indication of just the absolute massive international acclaim that this Temora local enjoyed throughout her life. This program that they've put forward seems very ambitious and extremely unique, and I think it was mentioned that this would coincide with the launch of Temora's favourite historian, Bill Spears' book on the subject. I think it's a very worthwhile event, and fortunate timing in that it probably would struggle to field funding in a normal environment. But the fact that we've got such a significant amount of funds available, and this is, it's just unique in its scope, and it's at the Bundawarra Centre, and it dovetails in with the book launch and the arts festival, and obviously I just think it's a wonderful opportunity just to do something really unique, and it could be anything. It could be a massive flop, but it could be really something spectacular. That's my thoughts in relation to that.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. I can now... Councillor Irvine. Thank you. I now go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. A bit like Councillor Irvine, I had no idea who this person was or how famous she became. I'd like to see this get up and go too. Now, whether it'll be a flop or not, I don't know. But purely for the educational purposes of educating the people of Temora Shire and others too nearby that may or may not attend, just the significance of this woman and how much she achieved in her lifetime. I think it's a great idea, so I'm in full support of it, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, this could be very, very good. It's a significant amount of money, but if it is done properly, yeah, I think it's got a lot will come out of it. Yes, she's a very unique person for that back in that time to end up overseas and so forth. So yes, if it's done right, and I guess if that amount of money is put towards it, there's no excuse for it not being right. So yeah, I'd like to see it go ahead too.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I go to Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I agree with all those comments just made. As long as I've lived in Tomorrow, which isn't my whole life, but I've never ever heard of this person, and I wonder how many decades have gone past that people haven't even heard of her or recognised someone from Combanning going on the world stage, being an incredible opera singer. So I think it's long overdue recognition. I think it would be a real feather in the Bud Morrison's cap to have that there, and I really support it.
Thank you very much, Councillor McLaren. I go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just the event coordinator will have a role to play in this, I would imagine. So, well, I think we should, as the deputy said, make this a well-run event and make it as best we can possibly do and showcase what we actually had at one time. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Judd.
Anyone who's been going to Tomorrow Heritage meetings over many years would have heard from Bill Spears about Murray Novell a number of times.
Yeah. I must admit, councillors, I appreciate everybody, what you've had to say, and because I must admit I had come into the chamber with a differing view in relation to this, but I've heard some tremendous points, and I think that certainly it would be arguably it would be the wrong thing to do if we didn't showcase this individual, and also as the number one priority, but also supporting that Motion Arts Temora group that are obviously working hard to try and enhance their number and their purpose and so on. So okay, so therefore on that basis, council happy then with that high priority, or is there an alternate suggestion? Are we happy with high? Happy? Councillor McLaren, yes. Okay, so let's put high there. And then let's go over the page, councillors, to Temora Hits the Stage, which is evidently a musical theatre event that would be presented by the High School Motion Arts and the Young Regional School of Music, the Temora, what do they call it, the Temora Studio. And you see there, the local performers will present a musical production under the direction of high school drama teacher Miss Katie John. And you see there those other sentences that form part of the narrative. So they're requesting $16,180 for council to consider, talking the 23rd, 24th, 25th of March of next year. Does the manager and the officer have approximate totals, please, at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we're currently up to $222,546, which leaves sufficient funds available for this event if council decided to vote that way, plus a little bit extra to allocate.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps at this stage, while we can, leave this one on the table and go back and revisit some of the other ones. I don't rate this as highly as the previous one. I would rather see the other one go before this one. But what did you say? There was 10,000. If this one was funded to be 10,000. Sorry.
A sum. I'm still working out what the sum is. Sorry. Yeah, sum. It's not. It'll be 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that.
Okay. The director, you concur with those?
Yeah, there'd be $925 left.
So, hang on. Speaker, please.
There would be $925 left if you funded the $16,180 for the Temora on stage event.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to Councillor Irvine.
There's an element within this that I think will provide some ongoing value to the community. artists with expertise will be sourced to upskill cast and crew. They're talking about 3 shows. I think the Young Regional Conservatorium in its own right brings a high degree of professionalism to Temora, and I think we're benefiting already from that. This thing's got a lot of merits. I'd like to see it included unless something that we've allocated as a previous low priority can unseat it. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Councillor, on the last bit.
Well, I'd like to see it included unless some of the other previously discussed lower priority stuff can unseat it in terms of importance.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. That's what I was going to before. If we go back and revisit those others, and if we can't get anything out of them, come back and revisit those.
Okay.
So,
I think, Councillor Oliver, that makes sense. If Council's happy, can we just put that on hold for the moment and let's go back and revisit, and particularly for the purposes of Councillor Bushell as well. Now, in relation to, let's start where we started, the junior basketball. That was deemed as a low priority, and of course Councillor Bush has already declared that interest. As councillors have a view wishing to elevate that or fund part of it, none of it? Are you happy to leave it as is? It was a bit complex, councillors, as was explained by our Economic Development Officer. I'll go to Councillor Oliver.
Can we just have a review of what we've placed as a medium priority as a whole, not just to have a decision not made, but just remind us.
So we had our area park community mural unveiling and light show as a medium priority. And that's the only medium priority. And that was, 12,875. And the 5,000 taken out of the David Slunky event. That one.
That's funded for 2
I thought that was still high though.
Still high to revisit.
Okay. And also the area park swimming pool fun day, with that 7,000, considering funding it for 1 day as opposed to 2. So we go to Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Chairman. Just going on the area park one, the mural and the light show, I'd like to see that get up, but I reckon we could trim it back to probably the hiring cost of the light show, which is probably about 8,000 something, and also being realistic, I think we could probably trim a couple of thousand off the Mayor of Gilmore to pay for it, and with the pool probably come back to 1 as well. So just to work it all, try and get them all up.
So Councillor Judd, are you suggesting for Mary Gilmore that we reduce it down to 10? Is that?
Yep.
It's a 10,000 allocation for Mary Gilmore. You're suggesting the area park swimming pool fun day. What's your proposal?
Come back to probably 4,000.
So 4,000?
Yep.
Okay, and then the area park community tribute show. Is that 5 or?
No, about 8,500. No, the tribute show.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's probably, you could trim it a bit, but you can't trim it too much, but
Okay.
probably 6,000.
So, Council, do you want to leave it at 6.8? Okay, we'll leave it at 6.8. You've escaped the axe there, Councillor Judd. What's the next suggestion you have for the mural?
And the mural and the light show, bring it back to about 9,000, something like that.
Okay, council happy with that? Yep, Councillor McLaren? Okay, so councillors, are you happy then for those area park events? Mary Gilmore, the fun day at the pool, the tribute show and the mural unveiling for those figures, which were 10, 4, 6, 8 and 9 respectively? Happy? Councillor Judd?
Yep,
Happy?
yes.
Councillor McLaren?
Yep, that's all good.
Okay, thank you. Right, how are we travelling? Because I would like to go back to... Yes, please.
I'll just check this with the director, but my total is 227,117. That's what I've got at the moment. So that's with the 16 out. So that's with reduction of the trimmings of the total savings, $3,000 off the swimming pool fun day at Area Park, and another one. Mary Gilmore Festival was $1,429 reduced. That's right.
Yep, so we have 222,546, and if you take off 8304, we get 214,242.
Different to my total.
Okay, we need to clarify that if we can, please. So just going back, we're going to go back to where we started as far as the low priorities. The Junior Basketball Carnival, are council happy to leave it out, add some or none? And again, keeping in mind of the advice that the Economic Development Officer gave us earlier, that there were some complexities around that, but technically it was eligible. Okay, so leave it out. Okay. Thank you. So that's that. The pig day out, we're happy to leave that out. Thank you. We go then to, we've already done the area park. Then let's go to the adult macrame workshop, 4,942. Still, we're flying a bit blind here. How are we going?
Sorry,
The manager?
Economic Development wins. That was $227,117 remaining. Spent in total.
Thank you. 227,117. That's excluding the last one. Okay, thank you. So going to the adult macrame workshop, 4,942. Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm still thinking not on the macrame, and I'm suggesting that we let the Heritage Committee keep their $5,000 to promote another person in the future, and we put $5,000 towards the David Schlunke. Take it up to 20.
Thank you, Councillor Reinhold. So you're suggesting that we say no to the macrame workshop. Councillors, are you happy with that? Councillor McLaren?
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Happy with that, thank you. Okay, so that's out. We go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy with that too. What I'm saying is if there's any odd amount left over, perhaps the basketball could get that. If it's doable, I know there are complexities with it, but if there's an odd amount, that should perhaps go towards that event to help that part of the community out, because they haven't had a look in anywhere else, really, so thank you.
And there's the numbers are fairly significant in terms of participants and young ones as well. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Oh, where are we up to with the last one? It's the stage.
Beg pardon?
What have we decided on the last one? Hit the last item?
No, we haven't. We're just holding it. We're going through we're going through it. We said that we'd hold that and we'd just go through these others. So how much, yes, remaining?
So we have $12,534 left
Is that
unallocated. That doesn't include
Is that, what
this.
about the 5 for the Mr Slunky project?
I don't think that's been decided yet, has it?
No, it hasn't.
That was just a
but I just
proposal.
wanted to know if...
Yeah, no, that's not included.
So there's 12 remaining.
12.5, yes.
12.5, thank you. So back to Councillor Reinhold's original suggestion about enhancing the 5. Are you happy to leave it at 15 for the moment? Yep, okay, thank you. Go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I'd like to leave that at 15 and then just allocate the 12.5 to that final project.
The Temora hits the stage.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Irvine, the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, agree with that.
Okay, so you're advocating that, Mr Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Are there other comments in relation to allocating that final amount to the Temora hits the stage? Thank you, the Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just quickly looking at the budget, there are some costs there that I think you could still proceed with those with that reduced allocation. The artist and visiting artist fees equate to about $4,500, which is roughly about what it would be short. So if the production could still go ahead, perhaps without those that polished last bit of effort. That's 3 days artists in residence.
Thank you, Mr Manager. I must agree with Councillor Oliver. I would like to see something, whether it was 500 or 1,000, allocated to the junior basketball carnival. There's been a heck of a lot of money going to arts and culture and other events, which I think is tremendous, and they've all earned, in my view, what you've proposed. But I do think that there needs to be, technically, let's remember, it is eligible for funding. So I agree with Councillor Oliver. I think that there should be something, and I'd like Council to at least consider something. Councillor Oliver?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was just wondering, have we taken up all the council events with the event coordinator? Is there any spare left in that we could salvage from that to put toward the junior basketball?
Thank you. I think I know the answer, but Mr Manager?
Look, it's really hard to tell. That is one of the allocations that council would be responsible for picking up the bill for if it was overspent. We have been pretty heavy on the council in approving council events, so I think that's going to be tight there. The officer has just highlighted that she's got a list of the allocated budget items to events from council's budget already. And there is $1,900 allocated to the Mary Gilmore Festival, but I'm not sure if those are costs that are covered by the event application, or are those for the paying days. Maybe that's stage and traffic management potentially. That might be the only area that we can.
Thank you. So therefore, the advice is that there is, $1,900 that has been budgeted for that is no longer required due to this allocation. Okay, so I'll go to Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm just wondering with the Arts Festival events 18.8, whether we could trim a bit off that. So we weren't very specific on what we were doing.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Reinhold. Go to the Economic Development Manager.
Yes, that is a possibility. There's, as the officer pointed out, there are multiple components to that, so it could be reduced in scope. It would mean that less events or less workshops could be delivered.
Thank you. So what are we thinking, what, 1,800 off that? $800 off that total, the arts festival events? It was 4.5 they're asking. So go to the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just probably thinking a bit loud here. So if to $800 off the art events and plus the $1,900 saved on the
From Murray Gilmore.
and put that towards the basketball.
So that was 1,900. Thank you. So that's 2,700 from, the 1,900 that already exists in the budget plus 800 off the arts festival events. I would think that they would be grateful for whatever they received, is my reading of it.
Excuse me, Mr.
Sorry, Councillor McLaren.
Thank you. Yes, I support some funding for basketball too. Is it going to be marketed as just for kids, or could it be a family basketball thing with an emphasis on kids, or just to make it more inclusive to get around that issue?
Thank you, Councillor McLaren. I think it is appropriate to ask for clarity, Councillor Bushell, who is the President, just to seek clarity. I notice she is not participating in this discussion as she's declared that interest. So, Councillor Bushell.
From the committee stance, we're back out of COVID, so we're just trying to reinvigorate our juniors initially and slowly invigorate our seniors. So our predominant focus is on juniors.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. Thank you, Councillor McLaren. So, councillors, are you happy then with that 2,700 allocation to the basketball event? Can you please raise your hands? Thank you. Councillor Reinhold, you look troubled.
I want to give them some more.
Well, you've plenty in the art. Hang on. Sorry, hold that thought, Councillor Bushell, Councillor Reinhold. 2,700. Yep, 2,700. But Councillor Reinhold is trying to extract some more. There's plenty there in the arts and culture space.
Yes, I think we've done very well, and I'd be prepared to lose another 1,000 off the arts festival events. 18,000, take it to 17.
Take it to 17 neat. Well, councillors, are you happy to do that? So that would be 17,000 for the arts festival. Then you've got the 1,900 from Mary Gilmore, and then the $800 from the festival.
Yes, yeah.
The arts festival again. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd be happy with another $1,000 towards the basketball event, the junior basketball event. That sort of, to me, spreads the love, I suppose you might say, around a little bit more evenly. Gives them a little bit more of it, whereas I think the arts community have done quite well out of this, so thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I was suggesting before, that they've done well and they've got some great events up, but this event is eligible, and I thank Council for considering that. So, therefore, that we have 3,700 allocated to the basketball event. Any other comment? Councillor Judd.
Just an observation. I know at Aero Park I tried hard to get the football and netball clubs to put in for something, because we're trying to get a Shire-wide community events, get all sections of the community. Anyway, they did nothing, and I noticed there's nothing coming from the same football and netball clubs in Temora, except basketball's the only one that's done something, you know. I'm just disappointed that whether we are missing out on certain sections of the community, you know. It's half the time it's not our fault because they haven't done anything, but it's you know, they can say, well, we can go to the pool parties and all this other thing, but it's anyway, it's just an observation.
No, thanks, Councillor Judd. You're quite right. But then again, I'd like to think that the sports community in the main, particularly our football clubs, have reflected and thought we've done pretty well out of grants in recent times. So that's sort of what I'm putting it down to, because normally you have them all ready and raring to go to apply for grants. But yes, you certainly made an interesting point. Thank you. I go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, and just in regards to Councillor Judd's comments, I think, like all volunteer organisations, the football clubs are strapped for helpers, and the time frame's short and it's mid-season. So, you know, all the people involved in the football clubs with any capacity to probably put the grant application in would also be engaged in all their general week-to-week reporting and just running the club at the moment. That's the only comment I'll make in regards to that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Irvine. We go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
And I think some of the criteria might make it a bit hard too for sporting clubs to get around. I think that probably be the bigger issue.
Yeah, thank you. So, councillors, we've dealt with the Temora basketball. Now we go back to the Temora hits the stage. We have a final figure now of $12,534 left to allocate, and there seemed to be the view of council to allocate that towards the Temora hits the stage. Is that still council's view? Thank you. Councillor McLaren's thumbs up. Councillor Bushell, you're happy. There's nothing further. Mr Manager, Madam Officer, I think we've mission accomplished. All we need now is a formal resolution to allocate those funds to those events as outlined. Councillor Oliver, you're moving that direction?
Yes, Mr Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reinhold, you've seconded the motion. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Actually, in further discussion, I'd ask the mover and seconder to please consider actually writing a letter to the member for Cootamundra, effectively thanking them for this. I mean, we get all this money. I think it's important that we give thanks for that. Are the mover and seconder happy? Thank you. Is there further discussion? Councillor Irvine.
Just a question to the Economic Development team. When will all of these successful applicants be informed, and then when will this be public knowledge, so to speak, so that it can be released?
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. The Economic Development Manager.
My understanding is this is a public meeting, so the recording will go up this afternoon.
We need to put out a press statement
very soon, so that will be pretty well public knowledge. We will write by tomorrow to all of the successful event holders to let them know that they have been approved by council, and that their event will then go to the Department of Regional New South Wales for final assessment. It's not until the final assessment by Department of Regional New South Wales that they'll be able to move forward. We expect that to take up to 2 weeks, and so would encourage them, not to go ahead with too much certainty until we get the final okay with them. But we've already discussed these events with the departments, and they're happy with them at this stage.
Thank you. So, but we will articulate in the letters that it'll be subject to formal approval, and then we can put out or discuss with Miss Cook's office about, the announcements and so on, just so it's in the public arena. And it is important for us all to remind, yes, we've workshopped it now, this is the next phase, and we'll go from there. But thank you very much, councillors, and thank you to the Economic Development Manager and to our newly minted Economic Development Officer for your efforts in relation to this. It'd be nice to think that this would be an annual grant allocation from the state. It's just terrific to see events getting back on track. It really is. But thank you for your efforts, both of you. There being no further business for this special meeting of council, I thank you all again and declare the meeting closed. Thank you.